The Nanny. The row house in Georgetown was built of red brick and old money. It had ivy climbing the walls and a heavy oak door that felt like the entrance to a fortress. Inside, it smelled of lemon polish and the expensive, subtle perfume of Mrs. Blackwell. For Elena Voronova, known here as Mary Poppins, a joke Richard Blackwell made once and never let go of, or simply, Mary. This house was not a home. It was an operational theater. Elena was 28, a graduate of the Sparrow School, trained in etiquette, child psychology, and 14 ways to incapacitate a man using household objects. Her cover was perfect. Mary Evans, a quiet girl from a village in Wales, with impeccable references forged by the KGB's best document artists. She was the nanny for the Blackwell children, Leo, 7, and Sophie, 4. Richard Blackwell was the Undersecretary of State for Arms Control. He left confidential briefing papers in his study. He talked about missile silos over breakfast. He was the target, but the children were the variable the center hadn't calculated. Mary. Look, Sophie came barreling into the kitchen, holding a drawing. It was a crude crayon depiction of a stick figure with yellow hair, holding hands with two smaller figures. That's lovely, darling, Elena said, her Welsh accent flawless, soft, and lilting. Who is that? It's you, Sophie beamed. And me and Leo, because you keep us safe. Elena felt a sharp, physical pain in her chest, as if she'd been struck. She pinned the drawing to the refrigerator with a magnet shaped like a pineapple. I do keep you safe, she whispered. The phone rang. It was the special line, the one Richard rarely used. But Richard was at the State Department. Elena picked it up. Blackwell Residence. The package is ready for collection, a male voice said. It was Uncle Vanya, her handler. The cleaners are coming tonight. 9 p.m. Have the laundry ready. The line went dead. Elena stood frozen, gripping the receiver until her knuckles turned white. It wasn't a laundry request. It was the Pied Piper protocol. Negotiations in Geneva were stalling. The Soviet premier needed leverage, brutal, personal leverage. She was ordered to drug the children, take them out the back service entrance, and hand them over to a team in a van. They would be smuggled to an embassy safe house, then out of the country. They would be bargaining chips. Elena looked at Sophie, who was now trying to feed a piece of toast to the family cat. She looked at the crayon drawing on the fridge. You keep us safe. The afternoon was a blur of nausea and mechanical efficiency. Elena went through the motions. She made peanut butter sandwiches. She helped Leo with his math homework. She read them a story about a bear who lost his hat. Every minute was a countdown. 9 p.m. At 6 p.m., Richard came home. He looked exhausted. Rough day, Mr. Blackwell? Elena asked, taking his coat. The Russians are stonewalling. He sighed, rubbing his temples. They think we're weak, Mary. They think we won't push back. He looked at her, his eyes kind. Thank God the house is peaceful. You're a godsend, Mary. I don't know what we'd do without you. Elena forced a smile. I just do my job, sir. My job is to destroy you. She went upstairs to the nursery. The children were in their pajamas. The sedative was in her pocket, a small vial of clear liquid. 2 drops in their warm milk, and they would sleep for 12 hours. They wouldn't even know they were being taken. She poured the milk. Her hand hovered over the cups. She remembered Omsk. She remembered the cold orphanage where the state had raised her. She remembered being told that love was a bourgeois weakness, that the party was the only family she needed. She looked at Leo, who was building a Lego castle. Mary, can you help me with the drawbridge? Of course, she said. She sat down. She put the vial back in her pocket. She didn't drug the milk. Drink up, she said, her voice trembling slightly. But no sleeping drops tonight? We have a game to play. 8:45 p.m. The house was quiet. Richard and his wife were in the living room, watching the news. Elena dressed the children in their coats and boots. Where are we going? Leo asked, rubbing his eyes. It's dark. It's a secret mission, Elena whispered. Like in your spy books. We have to be very quiet. We're going to play hide and seek. She led them not to the back service entrance, but to the basement. There was a small window there that opened into the neighbor's garden, a dense thicket of rhododendrons. Listen to me, Elena said, kneeling in front of them. She gripped their shoulders. I need you to go through this window. Run to Mrs. Gable's house next door. Knock on her door. Tell her, Mary says, the wolf is at the door. Can you do that? But aren't you coming? Sophie whimpered. I have to hold off the bad guys, Elena said, wiping a tear from Sophie's cheek. Go. Now. She pushed them through the window. She watched them scamper across the frost-covered grass until they reached the neighbor's porch light. Elena closed the window. She locked it. She walked up the stairs to the kitchen. She checked her watch. 8:58 p.m. She unlocked the back door. She went to the knife block and pulled out a boning knife. She hid it in the sleeve of her cardigan. She sat at the kitchen table and waited. At 9 p.m. exactly, the back door opened. 2 men entered. They wore maintenance uniforms. One was Victor, a brute she had trained with in Moscow. The other she didn't know. Where are the assets? Victor asked, scanning the room. Are they asleep? They are gone, Elena said calmly. Victor froze. What? I sent them away. The police are on their way. The neighbor has already called them. Victor's face twisted in rage. You traitorous bitch. Do you know what you have done? You have signed your death warrant. I know, Elena said. Victor lunged. Elena didn't retreat. She met him. She wasn't Mary the nanny anymore. She was Voronova, the weapon. She ducked his punch, pivoting inside his guard, and drove the knife into his thigh. He roared. The second man pulled a gun. Elena flipped the kitchen table for cover. A bullet shattered the cookie jar on the counter. Ceramic shards and oatmeal cookies exploded everywhere. Mr. Blackwell, Elena screamed. Upstairs, she heard shouting. Footsteps thundering. The second man moved to flank her. Elena threw a heavy cast-iron skillet. It caught him in the temple. He went down. Victor was limping toward her, pulling his own weapon. Why? He spat. For these Americans? For the children, Elena gasped, clutching her side where a bullet had grazed her. Sirens wailed in the distance. The neighbor had made the call. Victor heard them. He looked at the door, then at Elena. This isn't over. Voronova. The center never forgets. He grabbed his comrade and dragged him out the back door, disappearing into the night. By the time the FBI arrived, the kitchen was a wreck. Richard Blackwell sat on the floor, holding his weeping wife. The children were safe next door. They found Mary, sitting on the back stoop, bleeding, smoking a cigarette she had taken from Victor's dropped pack. Agent Miller, the lead FBI agent, approached her cautiously. Ma'am, you're the nanny? Elena looked up. Her eyes were hard, empty of the warmth that had filled them for 2 years. My name is Elena Voronova, she said, her accent thick, Russian, and heavy. I am a captain in the KGB, and I would like to defect. Epilogue. 5 years later. A diner in nowhere, Nebraska. A waitress named Helen poured coffee for a trucker. She wore her hair, dyed blonde. She looked older, tired. The TV in the corner was playing the news. Peace talks successful, tensions ease. On the screen, there was a clip of Richard Blackwell, now the Secretary of State, shaking hands with a Soviet diplomat. Standing next to him were 2 children, now older, Leo and Sophie. They looked happy. Helen stopped pouring. She watched the screen. Sophie was holding a doll. It was an old doll, one that Helen recognized. She had sewn the button eyes on it herself. You okay, hon? The trucker asked. I'm fine, Helen said softly. A ghost of a smile touched her lips. Just checking on my kids. She put the pot down and went back to the kitchen. She was a traitor. She was hunted. She was alone. But the children were safe. and that was the only mission that mattered.